Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Welcome to another edition of Hobby Quick Hits. Today's episode entitled Getting the Grail, What Next? And just like the title, right? It's I got my Grail this past week, as many know, the 1948-49 Leaf Jackie Robinson. And I'm going to talk about on this episode, you get your Grail, whatever it might be. Everyone may have a different card. And what do you do? How does that change anything? For most, it doesn't. There's other cards on your list, even after your Grail. But for some, it does. And we're going to kind of talk about that. The other thing I've been asked kind of to talk about, I'm going to incorporate it into this episode, is, how long was I chasing it? More details to why I didn't get it previous and how I finally acquired it. So I'm gonna cover all that and then talk about once you get your Grail, whatever that card is, where do you go from there? So that's what today's episode is going to be about. Let's hear from our great sponsors, Mojo Breaks, and then we'll get into the Q&A, hobby new releases for the week, and then we'll tackle Grail card and what happens after.
MojoBreakShop.com is the best place to get your sealed wax products and brakes. They not only have the best selection, but the best prices. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they are your guys. They ship worldwide to your doorstep. Their reputation as one of the most trusted in the hobby goes unmatched. They are the 2021 Topps Rip Party Champion Breakers. From sports card to Pokemon cards, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders.
Hey guys, John Newman here. Mojo's prices are already great, but to save an additional 10% off anything in their store, use the code QUICKHITS. That's QUICKHITS. Check out the full service store that's open 7 days a week in Santa Clara, California, or the website at mojobreak.com.
Hello guys, it's Tom from the Sports Card Shop. Let's go over the weekly releases. On the first, we have 2021-22 Bowman University Basketball, 2021 Topps MLS Soccer, and on the third, we have 2021 Panini Prism Football Hobby, 2022 Panini Revolution WWE, 2021-22 Topps UEFA Champions League Chrome Soccer Hobby, 2021-22 Topps UEFA Champions League Chrome Soccer Elite. See you guys.
Answer my question! The question!
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
All right, this is one of those questions that I've been asked a couple of times by a few different people. So, it's not one person I can accredit it to. And probably a lot of people wondering this, with the recent sale of HGA, I'm getting asked, do I think, what's the next grading company to sell to another company, whether that be a competitor or someone outside the hobby, like in HGA's case. I don't think any of the big ones are going to sell or be acquired by someone not in the space already. But again, this is all speculation. I don't have any insider knowledge. This is just an opinion, and probably a wrong opinion. But I would say, I'd look at Beckett possibly being able to be acquired, and or teaming up, merging. Mergers are also a possibility where money doesn't technically exchange hands; they just bring two companies together. So I look at Beckett, and the other one is CSG. They're sort of indirectly working with PSA. Again, I'm not predicting these. I'm just saying if I had to pick one or two, that's the direction I would pick. It's time for the Hobby What's Up, where we go around the hobby world and tell you all the latest news and breaking stories from the hobby we love.
What's up?
What's up?
What's up? What's up?
Leaf sued CD signed. So for those who haven't heard, happened rather quickly. One day, Leaf sued Dallas Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb for not sending in his autograph redemption cards, and after that, the next day, they were all signed, case closed. But it was allegedly the first time a card company has ever sued a current player. But I guess it worked. So those awaiting CeeDee Lamb redemption cards, you will get your card here probably shortly. So that one was a quick story. Now on to a thing that won't be a quick thing. Topps Project 100. Topps continues rolling out the card art projects. This one will be 5 artists, 20 players. Base cards can have a print run no higher than $3,999. You can buy the deluxe edition, and the base cards will be $20. You can buy a deluxe edition featuring foil etching for $150, but there'll only be 100 of those produced. And then there's an artist proof edition signed by the artist, only 20 copies produced with a $500 price tag. So again, card art continues. It'll be interesting to see if there'll be any fatigue on the collector's end of the scale. Another criminal action in the hobby. A person named Cord Monroe, also doing business as David Scott, was arrested on bank fraud, $73,000 worth. He bought 14 T206 cards and added fraudulent fake autographs on them, and then they were sold via auction houses. Most were authenticated by a third-party authenticator, but no mention of who did that, and people kind of questioned the autographs and came to light, and the feds cracked down on him, and so he's facing federal charges for bank fraud. Again, 14 cards totaling sales of $73,000. David Adams is doing their own version of authentication, but this will be only on the new products coming in, called Factory Fresh or Case Fresh. Buyers will have the option to have their cases wrapped and certified by David Adams, and a video comes along with it showing the case being opened by an employee from said company. They also are doing individual boxes, and they also have an acrylic box certification. So you don't have to do it, but they are offering it to their customers. It's only on new products coming in to David Adams for resale through them. So keep that in mind. But if you're thinking about holding something long term, maybe something to think about there. And our last story, but not least, Ivan Lovegren, one half of the dynamic duo that forms Go GTS Live on Thursday nights, also MC of the National, is stepping down due to personal reasons. Did a great job there, great run. Him and Rob, must watch Hobby TV on Thursday nights. No announcement of a replacement or any kind of future plans, but Ivan's got a couple young sons, and him and his wife are expecting their third child. So family first, and we wish Ivan the best of luck in any future endeavors, and thank him for that great content that him and Rob produce for years. So there you go.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, so I've recently acquired my Grail card, 1948-49, Leaf Jackie Robinson, SGC 1.5. Matter of fact, this show comes out on Monday. Tomorrow the card is actually being shipped to SGC to get into a current holder. It has the old green label. They're going to modernize it and then get it back to me. I'll be a nervous wreck till it comes back, but people have asked me, I've talked about it without a ton of detail, but people have asked me to kind of talk a little bit more in detail. When did I actually really put it on my radar? How close before have I come to acquiring it? And now that I have it, if that changes anything for me or not. And I'm gonna answer all those questions. I'm gonna kind of do that this episode. I don't want this Jackie thing, and people have been great. I've gotten so many messages of congrats and happy for you, and I really appreciate those messages and that support. But I want to sort of, I'm sure everyone else doesn't want me to just talk about this every week, okay? Even though it's a momentous thing for me and my collecting journey and a great card in itself, I don't want it to be, an end-all, be-all and talk about it every week. So I'm going to do this episode to, answer some of those questions I've been asked and kind of, put it to bed, so to speak. I'm not saying I'll never talk about it again, but for the crux of it, kind of put it to bed, turn the page, answer some questions, and then along those lines in this episode, also talk about, what's next, right? For me and for other people that I know have gotten a Grail card, how their approach might be different than what I'm going to do. So we're gonna tackle that. So, I started my collecting journey as a 7-year-old in 1979 with a 79 Topps pack. A couple packs actually purchased for me by my grandfather in Brooklyn as we were in a corner store, and the rest is sort of history. As a young man growing up in Brooklyn, Jackie Robinson, and just the Brooklyn Dodgers in general, but specifically Jackie for what he meant off the field as much as on, became, my idol, if you will, someone I looked up to, even though he had passed away a month before I was even born. The stories from people in Brooklyn, the stories my grandfather and my dad shared about him, and just researching him, I realized his importance as not just a player again, but as a person. But at this point, I didn't have any Jackie cards, and while I was doing essays and book reports on him, and I was into cards, I just didn't have any Jackie cards. I didn't really start, as crazy as it sounds, really. Now, then I started picking up a few, but I really, one of the things about the Leaf, I've never really said this before, was the debate. It's a card set that was made just for 1 year, and then they went defunct, or 2 years, and then they went defunct. The argument would, real rookie, the Leaf or the Bowman. And so, early on when I really started to sort of acquire Jackie cards, I sort of poo-pooed, as crazy as it sounds, I poo-pooed the Leaf a little bit, because a lot of people were debating back then. I'm not talking about now, but can you recognize, they're not around, they were very here and then gone, and that sort of thing. But so I kind of focused sort of on the Bowman and the Topps and getting some of those cards, and the Leaf was sort of, on the back burner, if you will. And then as, people started to, learn more about it, and it really was the first card that came out, and it started to build, some momentum, some trajectory. And but again, I was just getting a Jackie card here, Jackie card there, doing shows. My first show at 15, and then I did the store, and then I actually wound up selling some of the Jackies I had during my store days. Wish I hadn't, quite frankly, because in 1994, 1995, they weren't worth what we know them as today. And then again, probably, I get asked, when did the Leaf become sort of, the Grail, or when did you really want to get it? And I guess 2007, I was, 35 years old at that point, and started to again add Jackies to my collection. And, there was no debating anymore. That was the card. And so it was on my list. I was doing shows still. And had a change, again, a lot cheaper in 2007 than in 2022. There was two occasions, I was just kind of waiting to run into it. And then I saw one on a dealer's table, and I can't remember all the details, what show it was. It wasn't a show I was set up at. It was just a consumer, and wound up not purchasing it. Kind of talked about it, and just didn't pull the trigger. Dumb on me, looking back now. I just always kind of thought there was no rush. There was no urgency. Years would tick by. And again, while I don't even know if I'd call it a Grail card, because there really wasn't a sense of urgency. It was just on my list, along with other Jackies that I didn't have at that time. And so years ticked by. Then I was doing a show. I was set up. And a friend of mine, a dealer friend of mine, who knew I liked Jackie and collected some Jackies, sent someone over who had it along with some other stuff. And I wanted to just buy the Leaf card he had. And he wanted to sell the whole package. And we just couldn't. What he wanted for the whole package, the whole collection, I don't want to say his collection. I don't think it was every card he had. But he wanted to sell the 30, 40 cards that he had with him at the show. And we just couldn't agree on a price on those 30, 40. And I did try, I don't want to say plead, but I was kind of said, how about just selling me the Jackie? And he's like, nah, I want to get, I need money. He told me what it was for. I can't remember. He had a big bill coming, and he didn't want to break it up. Wanted to sell them all as one, deal. And again, I tried, come on, we can work on the Jackie alone. You still can sell the others to someone else, and just wouldn't do it. And left the show. I was a little disappointed. And I would say that was probably 2014, 2015, a guesstimate. And kind of disappointed. Definitely wanted to get that deal done. He wanted to sell us a lot, and went by the wayside. Again, a couple years tick off. I'm not really on eBay looking for it. I just, again, always figured I'd get it. It was just a matter of time. And when you think like that, time ticks away. 2018, now I'm doing this show, right? This is keeping me busy. And to, anyone that says content creation that does it on a weekly basis doesn't take away from your card hunting or, the ability to buy some cards, that I don't think is 100% truthful. You're traveling in support of the show. You're lining up interview guests. I'm at this point, I'm still doing shows as a dealer. I'm buying collections. I think that was always, too, a hope that one of the collections I would buy, especially on the vintage side of the house, would, have a Jackie in it and kind of solve that problem. And it didn't work out as such. And so now with the show, that's kind of has a lot of my hobby focus. And, again, that by this time now it's more money than it was previously. And then we know, with the boom and the Jackie Leaf was one of those cards that really had a meteoric rise. And, I did start looking on eBay and was shocked to find, how much it was up to now, especially in graded form. And then at this point, I decided if I'm getting one, it has to be graded. There are a lot of fakes. I really was, I had some criteria. I knew I wasn't going to get a super high grade, but I wanted one that would presents well. No creases. I wasn't worried too much about corners, but no creases, some good color, and that sort of thing. But so it's hard with that criteria, lower grade but still presents well. You're sort of making that window that you got to go through tighter. I mean, if you want to, if money's no issue, right, you can get Jackie 7s, 8s, 6s, 5s that definitely check all those boxes. So I on eBay, it became one of my saved searches. And then this past year, when things financially, believe it or not, were a little more settled, and I really started to really ramp it up, knowing it was going to cost me more than ever before. I started checking out auction houses, Golden. I was bidding on 2 on Golden, lost out. One I lost out in regular time. The other I lost out in extended time bidding. Another one on Heritage I just missed out on. I even bid on a 1948, 1949 almost complete set. Had 47 of the 50 cards, or 47 of the 49 cards, and the Jackie was graded a 1. Not in great shape, but early on that set wasn't, for whatever reason, not bringing a lot of money. So didn't wind up winning it. Did 2 Syracuse shows locally, one each month, and had a great first show. I think it was in March, and then the April show. March set a local record for a show, and April then beat it. And so I had this money, and usually when I have big shows like that, I wind up buying a collection and kind of reloading like that. The nice thing was, even though I had 2 great shows financially, it didn't really, it put a dent in some of my show inventory, but it wasn't, I had built up such an arsenal that I was still fine for future shows. And so what I decided to do, this money, rather than buy a collection, it was time to really get serious about the Jackie. And so I started looking literally everywhere. I did a couple, even on eBay with negotiations. That didn't happen. And so to kind of cut to the chase, with saved searches on eBay, if you're familiar with that, anytime a new one's listed, you get a notification. I always try to be quick on the Jackies because sometimes they don't last long. It's a very popular card, and if it's priced to sell, it's going to sell rather quickly. And that's exactly what happened with the one I got. So I got a notification. I think it was an early afternoon, and opened it up to see it, and 1.5 SGC, looking at the price, and looking at the condition of the card, zoom in, blow it up, like this sort of checks the boxes. The buy it now price is a little higher than I want to pay based on, grade and whatnot. But this thing was really on my radar now because it hit all those parameters and criteria where many others hadn't. So I made an offer, and I don't really want to go into figures. I don't always like that. You can kind of probably figure it out if you really wanted to do the homework, which card it was. Obviously, I told you it was eBay. And, offered him an offer, not his buy it now price. He declined and came back with a counter offer. We're a little bit closer. And then I came back with a re-counter offer. And it was funny because we were both online at the same time, because the offers and counter offers were either being, declined or done rather quickly. So I would offer and he would reject and counter offer almost instantaneous. And so when I re-countered offered, I got the offer accepted, notice, pay now. And I was stoked because I knew, that it was over. I had it. Well, I didn't have it, but I knew, once I paid, and I got it. I also knew it was going to go through the PSA certification, even though it was an SGC graded card. I knew they'd have to, everything would be on the up and up. And so, about that whole process was rather quick. So for those wondering, I think I purchased that on a Tuesday, and I had it the following Friday. So less than 10 days from purchase to when I got it was less than 10 days. And wasn't home. I was in Dallas when the card arrived here. My wife, who had some time saved up, PTO time, who wasn't really feeling that great, took a Friday off and signed for my Jackie while I was in Dallas. And that's it. I have it again. It's going back out. However, corners are not great. No creases. Got a scratch on the lower left. Centering is great, front and back. No words, no ink. I'm looking at it right now. No ink marks. All the dialogue is readable. There are no stains, no wax stains. I even showed it to my son, who knows what it means to me. He goes, "Wow, that's really." I love the color on it. It's pretty bright. So good color, and finally have it here. And then I get asked, "Well, where are you going to keep it, John?" And I guess it depends on the situation. If I'm traveling or going away, I'm going to put it in the safe. If I'm home and in working in the studio office, I'm going to have it out on a stand and pedestal I have for it, and to look at it, right? Like Mike Moynihan says, what good are cards if you can't look at them? I get why some people put them in, offside or in a vault. I get it with certain value cards, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to see it, touch it, feel it, look at it, right? And glad it's here. Again, thanks to all that sent, positive notes and messages and congratulations. Great to have it. Great people with great sentiments. So, I get asked, what's next, right? What are you going to do now? Well, same thing I'm always done. Still do shows, looking to buy collections. Right now, I've sort of, because of this purchase and a couple other purchases I made in Dallas, I'm pumping the brakes on spending. Got to pay some of these bills off and get ready to have some money for Atlantic City. You go to that show, right? The National. I always go in the National trying to get 2 cards off my PC list. And so that's the other question. What now is my PC? What do I PC? It's Hall of Fame graded rookies. Obviously, the Jackie checks one of those boxes off. While I was in Dallas, I bought a Jim Brown SGC 3. Check that one off the list. And a PSA 6 Wayne Gretzky Topps rookie. Check that one off the list. But I have a long list of graded Hall of Fame rookies, obviously, that I don't have. And so my quest continues to add more cards. I'm trying to PC more now than I ever have. Even shows, I've just thought, how long do I want to do shows? Do I want to do shows? I'm about to turn 50. In my 50s, in my 60s, if I make it that far, something. As much fun as shows are, they are a lot of work. Do I want to kind of maybe just go online full-time, sell off some of that show inventory and really just PC some stuff? That's just those thoughts, right? So the graded Hall of Fame rookies are sort of what's on my to-do list. And, going into that, I try each year when I go to National to knock 2 big names off that list. And I buy others during the year. But when you go to National, right, you want to buy something. So I kind of set the goal as 2 of those bigger names on that list. Some of the ones at the top still for maybe Atlantic City, Tom Seaver rookie, Stan Musial rookies on that list, Connor McDavid in hockey. Thankfully in football, I have a lot of the big ones that I want first, and but Bob Gibson's another one on my list that I still haven't got yet. So I'd like to get 2 of those, here in about 60 days in Atlantic City, at least one. And so we're cutting off spending until the National. Matter of fact, when I went to Dallas, I really wasn't planning on buying a Brown and Gretzky, and it just worked out. I did, and had some online sales that kind of offset that. But so that's where my journey continues as far as what PC stuff is graded Hall of Famers, and done buying for now until the National. But glad to have the Jackie. Now, what have others done? Now, you talk to a lot of people. You do this long enough, you talk to a lot of people about their sort of modus operandi, right? Their MO. I had a friend of mine who got a Grail card. It was I believe it was a Ty Cobb T206. And when he got that card, he had chased it a long time. He wanted it in a certain condition. It wasn't cheap. And when he got it, he sold everything else. That was the only card. He told me after he got that card, the other cards fell by the wayside. There was no feelings towards them anymore. He said it was weird. He didn't have any sort of, he lost the love for him, if you will, and was completely in love with his Cobb T206. And so he sold everything else, and he was done. He got his Grail card, and I've had other friends or acquaintances that, like me, right, even after getting their Grail card, they still had other cards, maybe not as significant, but other cards on their list to continue to go for. I had another associate of mine, a dealer friend of mine, who I forgot what the Grail card was. It was very strange. This one's kind of more the exception to the rule. It kind of completed a set. I think it was a 52, if my memory don't quote me, a 52 Topps Mantle, which completed his 52 top set. And he decided to sell everything. He was a little bit older. This was about 10 years ago. I was in my 40s, and this gentleman was in his, early 50s. And he told me, now that I got it, I want to sell everything. It was fun to chase, but now that the chase is over, I don't have a passion for cards. And if I don't have a passion for cards, why not reap some of the rewards, that I kind of paid my dues and put in money. Now it's time to cash out. He kind of compared it to like a casino. And, he's been playing for years, and time to cash in his chips. And he literally just got this mantle to complete the 52 top set. And he sold the set and all his other inventory. Matter of fact, I bought a few. I couldn't buy everything. This is a lot of money. But actually, I got a Jackie or two from him. Knowing Jackie was my guy, he sold me a couple of his Jackie. But he got out completely and just took the money. It was a good amount of money, and I knew he liked to travel with his wife. And I remember he was, at that point, he retired early too. So he was getting like a pension, cashed out all his cards, and he was going to Italy and, Mexico. He was traveling. Seemed like every other month he was taking a week or two vacation somewhere. And, good for him. But he didn't waste no time. And so that's the point, too, is when you get your Grail card, right, what you do after that, it's your business, right? There's really, you've put in the work and the effort to build the collection up to get that Grail card finally. What you do after that, I guess, is up to you. It's the whole hobby your way thing that I always state, right? There's no wrong way to do it, whatever makes you happy. And, some folks keep going like myself and other people I know. And then I've told you those couple scenarios where one guy sold everything but his Grail card, and then the other gentleman sold everything, even after completing that last card, which was the Grail card that completed his Grail set, in a sense. He just said, hey, you know what? That's my cue. I have no, I got it, but I have no desire to chase anything else. And now that I got it, I don't love cards. I love the chase. I don't love the cards as much as the chase. And he sold everything, like I said, benefited me with a couple jackies. And, so I guess when you get a Grail card, it's whatever you want to do from there. There's no wrong way. For me, I'm just going to keep going on my graded Hall of Famer rookie collection. And truthfully, other than a few other items here and there, that's the only thing I really PC now. I've got a thing for some Griffey stuff. I think he's way too cheap. 87 Bellingham Mariners sets. I try to pick those up. Some Brooklyn Dodger stuff, some Steelers stuff. Even though I'm a Mets fan, I don't really collect Mets cards per se. But I enjoy the hobby, and, I'm going to keep going. I talked about this on the show before. I recently wrote a blog where I mentioned about a year and a half into this podcast, had grown exponentially and was doing very well, and I just thought of selling everything, right? It's not quitting the show, just selling all my cards and doing the podcast. I was thinking to myself, how many hobby podcasters are doing a hobby podcast where they have no cards anymore? They sold out, where they can kind of give a pure perspective, unbiased, not slanted anyway. But then I realized, even if I was to do that, and I wasn't seriously thinking it, just a thought that, and I still would have my biases or my opinions. Not having any cards wouldn't change anything other than the fact that I wouldn't have any cards, and I didn't like that fact. So that never was a serious consideration. But so there it is. I'm gonna sort of put this chapter to bed. Glad to have the Jackie. Whatever your Grail card is, any advice. I get asked any advice. I'm chasing this. Stay persistent. I think that was one of the things that got me off track. Was I wasn't persistent. It was on my radar. Then I got, squirrel and distracted by other things, stopped thinking about it, and I come back to it. It was more money. I get a little discouraged, and I'm like, all right, I'll table it for now, get caught up in other things, come back a year or two later, like, oh my God, it went up that much in a year or two again, and just got sort of, distracted or not focused on it as much as I should have. And so I guess that would be my advice. Someone asked me advice when chasing the Grail. Don't turn over every stone, right? When I really got serious here in the last year or two, really serious, I was going on every auction house, right? Everyone. Started accounts. That's free to start an account. Put in my saved search list. Looked on even Facebook Marketplace, although a word of caution there, just be careful, a lot of scams. So just when you're really determined to finally get it, is leave no stone unturned. And I think that was what finally got it, right? Having that say and acting quickly, because there's no doubt in my mind that had I not acted when I did, if I had said, I'll check it out later, or seen it and be like, I'll message this guy later and see what's the best. Someone else would have got it. I was on that. That card was sold probably less than 2 hours after it was listed between all the counter. I was even worried with the counter offer that someone potentially could buy it now, because the buy it now price was pretty fair too. And I want to give a special shout out and thanks to Danny Black at Sportsball on Twitter and Instagram, good friend of mine, who, when I saw this card, I kind of, he's in the vintage, knows his stuff, and reached out to him, sent him some photos, sent him the link, and said, hey, what do you think I should do? And he kind of gave me some advice that I think was a good reason how I wound up getting the card. Not the only reason, but potentially, kind of steered me in the right direction. So shout out to Danny Black there with that one. So I got it. I no plans to sell. Someone asked me that too, John, would you ever sell the Jackie now that you have it? And the answer is no. The only way it would ever get sold is if I upgraded, right? I don't need two. So if I got a higher grade or a better copy, as much as I even love the condition of this one, believe it or not, that would be the only time I would sell. So if I win the Mega Millions and I buy a 5 or 6 or 7, this one might go in the market, but probably not going to happen. So, going to be left to probably most likely my son. And, it's funny. I talked about this before. Like, he's not in the cards in the same vein as I am, but he knows the significance of this card. And even when I showed him, he was in awe of it. And so it might be one of those family passed down heirloom cards that just go from one generation into the next until one generation decides to cash it in and take the money. So my son might not do that, hopefully, but again, won't be at that point. I won't be here to do anything about it. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I promise not to talk as much about the Jackie now. It's kind of in the books. We'll close that book. I'm not saying I won't never ever, but not as much. And so goes it. So with that being said, thank you. We'll take a little break and I'll come back with some closing thought. All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. I hope you enjoyed this as I tried to make it as interesting as possible and obviously given as many details as I can. It's a great feeling to finally acquire a card you sort of chase sort of off and on, as I mentioned during when I was discussing the topic. But even just because I was really starting to focus on it more doesn't mean you're going to get it. So whatever your Grail card is, appreciate the chase, enjoy it, and then enjoy when you finally acquire it. I hope, unlike the couple, examples I gave, when you do acquire your Grail card, that you don't leave the hobby, stay in it. Love to see you stay involved. There's plenty of other cards besides the Grail card. I mean, for me, I'm doing, like I said, graded Hall of Fame rookies, so I've got plenty to chase there. But I will say this, getting the Jackie, even though we're just talking about a card, not having it doesn't make anyone less of a person, but just kind of getting it sort of a little bit of a weight off my shoulders, if that makes any sense. And really, I think when you buy other cards, you're like, I could have used that money towards the Jackie, but now I spent it. I think now that I have that card, not that I want to spend a ton of money, but it sort of opens up a lot of those other avenues. So, if you know what I mean. So, there you go. I want to just say thank you to Mojo Breaks, our sponsor. Thank you out there for listening and let me, get a little personal with my collecting and a chase, and promise to try to not talk about it too much, but I'm sure it'll come up every now and then. So just a reminder, Friday, another episode of Sports Card Nation, and next Monday, another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. The show Friday will be Erica from Love What You Collect, and the next Hobby Quick Hits will be about consolidation, talking about kind of paring down your inventory. Not getting out, but sort of condensing it, maybe focusing on what you really want to keep and getting rid of what you really don't. So with that being said, hope everyone has a safe and happy Memorial Day. Take a minute today, if you're listening to this on show day, release date, take a minute today to, at least think about the sacrifices our men and women of our military and armed forces and, gave so we can enjoy freedoms is such as card collecting. So with that being said, I'll bid you adieu, but say be safe, be well, and we'll see you soon.